Good morning, Dan. How are you doing?
Good morning, Catherine. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's good to see you. It's good to hear from you. How is the morning for you?
My morning is fine.
That's good. I'm happy to hear.
Welcome to today's program on transactional leadership.
Aha.
And I'm working in the background, in the backend,
Uh-huh.
in admitting our participants.
Yes.
I hope, I don't know where most are, but
They will join.
maybe so that we don't keep those who logged in on time
Yes.
waiting, I would
Yeah.
suggest that you start off the training,
Yes.
and I want to hand over the field to you.
Thank you very much. I
Thank you,
appreciate.
Catherine.
You're
Karibu.
welcome. Yeah. Okay. So that's good. So then, thank you once again, and for the opportunity for me to facilitate this great webinar and a great topic that is very dear to me. A very good morning to all of us. I hope you've had a good week, and we will make use the best of our time, these hours that we have to learn this topic and for us to discuss. As you have heard, my name is Catherine Wamwangi. I'm a HR practitioner. I have been working in the HR field for more than 25 years now. Something that I really enjoy, very passionate about people. And also at the same time, I'm an executive coach. I coach internally, I coach also externally. I love training. I facilitate a lot for ACHRP, and also I lecture at the College of Human Resource Management. I lecture strategy and I lecture coaching. So I'm sure we've interacted with you in one way or another. So I'm happy to be here, and I hope that we can participate as much as possible, take away great learnings today, look at how we can build ourselves into the next big thing of our career, and also how we can help our organizations with the learnings and the skills that we take today, but also more so be able to enjoy ourselves. I think that is very important because we should also be able to enjoy ourselves within the times that we set aside to do things that we've purposed to do. So that's me. And also at the same time, I hope you're not just here to earn the CPD point, which is very important. I believe so, no doubt about it. And the other thing is that how do we create networks around here? That's why I keep on saying, if when you unmute yourself, you say your name and maybe the industry that you work in, so that people can say, well, I can see Lucy on my tab. Lucy, you are first on the line. That's why I've picked you. I say, well, my name is Lucy and I work maybe in the agriculture industry or something like that. So people really know that, there was someone, Lucy, in that webinar. And if I ask them to give me the number, or if you say, well, someone wants to share your number or something like that, we can build those networks around, well, I have a problem in the agriculture industry or have a challenge. How can I reach out to someone, and how can someone help me? I think that is extremely important for me, creating networks for us to get to the next level. So yeah, so please unmute yourself because we are not too many now. Say good morning and what are your expectations for today's webinar? What do you hope to really get out of it? Why are you here? You're here to learn, of course, but really what really is drawing you, and what do you really want to get out of this? So that's important. But just before we do that, I would like us to pray. I'd like to ask someone to pray for us. Someone to pray for us. Who'd want to pray for us, please? Wangoi?
Let's pray.
Thank you. Wangoi Washira.
Father, in the mighty name of Jesus, we come before your holy presence. We want to say thank you. Thank you for this day, for enabling us to see a new day. We pray that you forgive us our sins. Be with us as we start this class. Help us to learn the most. And we pray that you will guide us in each and every way. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Wangoi. Appreciate. Okay, great. Off to a great start. That's what I keep on saying. So, expectations for today's learning, so that if I know that what I have prepared, which I took a whole week to prepare, if it's not what it should be, then quickly change. Facilitators are strong people. We just change immediately and be able to move on. Some some learnings, what you want to take out of today's webinar? Harry, Agira, Arigi, sorry. Can unmute yourself. Can't hear you.
Yes, all done.
Yes, yeah, much better.
Okay. Hi, good morning.
Say that again. Yes,
Good
yeah.
morning.
Morning.
Sorry, I'm having a few challenges with the Wi-Fi here.
That's okay.
Basically for me, I think this is my second time in the ACISP, the webinar. But basically, I want to understand more about the transactional leadership. Basically, I'm just blank. I need
You're
to
blank.
know.
Okay,
Yes.
good to know. Yeah.
Thank
you, Harry. Yeah. I like you when you put off your video, then there's a little lion over there, you know.
Oh.
getting by.
Yes.
I like that. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you,
Thank
Harry.
you.
Yeah. Someone else? Yeah. Understanding transactional leadership. What is that? What does it mean? You know, it's a nice topic. Hi, Sally. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. And you?
I'm good. Actually, I'm also new to the phrase transactional leader, but when I was looking at it and selecting what I wanted to come and learn, I saw it's about, order and structure. And maybe I've been faulted as wanting order and structure. So I'm just curious to go through the whole training and see what it's all about. Yeah.
Exactly.
So not just for 6 days, I'm actually quite interested.
Fantastic. Yeah. Happy to hear. Yeah. It's about order and structure. Is that what we want? Is that what we should be having in organizations? What are some of the advantages of transactional leadership? What are some of the disadvantages? So yeah, very true. Yeah, great. Yeah.
And how it balances also like with the soft,
Exactly. How does it balance with the other kind of leaderships, Yeah. Great. Yeah. Nice. Thank you. Someone else? Someone else? Anyone else? Expectations, what we want to learn. Okay, great. Okay. We can always time in as we go along, say what it is, what's in our mind and stuff like that. Allow me to share my screen. Let me do that. When you see it. Is it there?
Yes.
Okay, great. And sometimes you'll see me standing up. So you'll see me adjusting my mic, not my mic, my screen.
Molim?
Yeah, put it on slide share.
Yeah, okay, very well.
Great. So, transactional leadership. Just like the name suggests, transactional, are we really transactional beings? Are we really transactional beings? And even at our workplaces, I believe maybe majority of us here are HR practitioners or consultants, or maybe just interested in leadership or business. So I think it's a great place to be this morning as we learn about leadership. So those are the expectations, introduction, some of the things that we are really going to cover in depth, the factors, the styles and assumptions. How do we implement transactional leadership? Pros and cons of transactional leadership, like Sally has said, and lookouts when using transactional leadership style, and I think that's very important. And even as I start, I would like to us to discuss what is leadership and the concept of leadership. Are leaders made? Are leaders born? What do you think? And everybody, I believe everybody is a leader in their right. That's what I keep on saying. Leadership is not just for the C-suite, you know. Every step of leadership comes with its own responsibility. You are a leader in your own right. You have to make your decisions every day. You have to map up those decisions. You have to evaluate those decisions, you know, so you lead yourself. And we have this great mantra in what do you call it, in recruitment, where I hope you all know that the great way to look for talent now, amongst many other things that we are doing, one is people who lead self, who lead others, and who are able to lead the business. So those three things. So even if they're not going to be leading people, how do they lead themselves? If they're not going to if they're going to be leading if they're going to be leading people, how do they lead people? Do they really have a strong business acumen for them to know that I am here because I love this brand, I love this job, I love the company that I work for, and if it was mine, how would I really run it, and would I take it and run and make it better and whatever? So those are the kind of people. So when you have those three combinations during your talent search, then you get a better fit for the jobs. Yes, and I'm sure that's happening. I keep on saying even the people that we employ at our homes, in our businesses, you know, they're leaders. Whether they at the lowest level, they have to make decisions sometimes when you're not there. What is going to be taken for dinner? What time should I close the windows? You know, people have to lead themselves. So whatever position that you have in the society, remember that you are a leader. So it just goes incrementally, and as it increases, one of the things that we know is that we are going to have more responsibility. That is all that it happens. You know, we are going to have more responsibility around my leadership. You know, I'm in charge of this organization. That's a great responsibility. How do I run it? How do I make sure that the vision is actually kept alive? How do I make sure that the strategy is being looked after? How do I make sure that the culture continues to be consistent and it's incrementally growing? So things about change and things that we love to do. So I would like to highlight that everybody is a leader. So are leaders born or are leaders made? Let's have a nice discussion. Do we think that leaders are born or are leaders made? Then the big question always when we have this discussion is, who came before the other? Is it the hen or the chicken? Let's go. I was looking for my pen. Unmute yourself. Do you think that leaders are born or are leaders made? Many years, and I'm sure you've had this topic in your leadership classes, in your leadership discussions, you know, even maybe when you are appointed, we want you to be the leader of this committee, even ad hoc small committees for whatever occasions, ceremony, functions that maybe you're given a leadership role. Why do people choose on you? What have they seen that you can be able to deliver? They know that, well, because you're a completer, finisher, please take it and please run with it. So tell me, guys, let's have a discussion around are leaders made or are leaders born? Concepts of leadership. There's no right or wrong. Lucy, Eric, Wangoi, Teresa, Caro, Amos, or is it Amos? Depends on where you went to school. There's a Catherine here I can see, and another Lucy.
Hello.
Hello?
This is Eric.
Yeah. Hi, Eric.
Yeah, this has been an emotive discussion because some believe that leaders are born, others believe leaders are made. To some extent, what I believe is that leaders are born.
Leaders are born.
Or at the same time, you can also make a leader out of an elaborative experience, and also through work-related issues, which can also make someone be trained to be a leader. So it has been a debate, and it's still on anyway.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. There's a lot. In fact, when you just search on Google leadership, there's like 1 billion searches that whatever's will come up. Can you imagine? It's really a very well discussed, researched area, and very emotive sometimes. Leaders made, leaders born. Yeah, thank you, Eric. Leaders are whatever. Someone else? It could be in the same trail of thought. Are they born? Are they made?
I could just chime in. It's Sally again.
Yeah.
I think they are made because there are those, maybe you're born. I also believe you're born with certain characteristics that can predispose you to be a leader. But if
Yeah.
it's not brought out somehow, either through experience or through training or through attitude or circumstances, then it may lay hidden. But yeah, I don't know. I would agree with Eric. Maybe there are kind of two sides
Yes.
to it. But I think, yeah, you may be born with the characteristics, but there probably is something you need to add to it. It needs to be brought out or made just for it to reach full potential, I'd say.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Something has to be brought out for them to reach full potential. They are born, and then after that, they really have to be nudged out to make sure that they bring it out the full potential. And in coaching, that's the big word. I want to bring out your full potential, which you have, and you've been suppressing it, or even you didn't know until we start having those coaching conversations and think, oh, Allah, I didn't even know. I would actually jump from the mountain and without any whatever. I mean, not literally jumping from the mountain, but really, this is me. This is my true element. I am in my space. I am ready to go and stuff like that. Yeah. Someone else. Even if you're just unmuting to say hello, okay, I know leaders, that's it, okay. Someone else? Caroline Oko, made or born, or both? It's a hybrid. I like the word hybrid now. I use it so many times because I think it's so fashionable. I might start sounding like a broken record, not that I learned it just whatever, because I hear, oh, we have a hybrid way of working now. The strategy is taking a hybrid kind of way, and I'm sure you can relate with me. Hybrid around the times of the pandemic, teams going in differently, people working from home, others going to the office, so that we keep everybody safe and stuff like that. So, well, it's a hybrid way of working nowadays. Okay. Someone else? So whom would you describe as a great leader? Who are some of the great leaders that we know? And mute, they can be as many as we are great leaders in this world, or leaders in this world. So we have had leaders. Some have been very successful. Some have not been successful. Anyone? Leader? Unmute. They can be as many as we are.
Morning. This is
Morning.
Catherine.
Yes. Hi, Catherine.
Yeah. I think one of the greatest leader for me was Wangari Maathai. I think mainly because she led by example. She talked about her truth and lived her truth with conserving trees and the environment. So I think that is one of the great leaders, one of the many great leaders that I know of.
It's true. Yeah, we all agree. Yeah, Wangari Maathai. Yeah, very great leader, very brave, I must say. Lived her course, worked for it, drove it, and we saw the results and the fruits of it. I think that's whatever. That's very true. Maybe if she would have been alive, we would have had now 20% of our country covered by trees and vegetation, because that's what we are aiming at. The government keeps saying 20%. We're only at 5% forest cover. So I agree. Yeah, very strong no matter what, very resilient. And when she won the Nobel Peace Prize, we were all very happy and we knew that she had earned it. So I agree. Yeah, someone else? Someone else, a great leader that we know? Could be in any area. I thought you would be unmuting and saying, me, I'm a great leader. You know, I'm a great leader in the small things that I do, in where I am, in where I plug in the spaces that I am, you know. Yeah, so I'm sure you're all good leaders in that area. Someone else who's very visible, people who are very visible. Very visible. Someone else? The Nelson Mandelas of this world, the Maradona who just passed away a few days ago. You know, I think he was a great leader in football. You know, he set the pace. People loved him. He played a good game. Anybody else? I think Eliud Kipchoge is a great leader in sports. You know, resilient, very persistent. You know, I think people like that. Anybody else? People tend to relate a lot with their standard 1 teachers. How come? They taught you how to read and write. Anybody else? A great leader? Anybody else? Okay. So even as we look at leadership is a relational activity where individuals guides or directs others, followers to attain an objective or a goal that we all know. You know, leadership even at your workplace, whether you are the leader, you are the department head, you know, what do you want? It's an activity that you have to live every day for you to guide and direct others so that you can attain a goal. A leader, people follow leaders because they see that they have a big vision. They have the correct vision. That's why they want to follow them. And if you miss that, then what happens that people do not stop trusting you and they start thinking, well, this is not the kind of leader that we want. And of course, sometimes we've had very chaotic and bad leaders. We can say Hitler wasn't really a good leader. We know that during his reign and his leadership, what happened is that there was a lot of, many of the Jews were killed. So there's something that when we look at people's leadership, and what they have done, have they really progressed people to the next level? Have they put people, have they negated that responsibility? And what kind of legacy have they left? You know, we can look at our politicians in question. Do you think that they leave a great legacy? Anyone? African politicians, are they great leaders in your opinion? In overall, when we put them in one basket, unfortunately, let's just put them in one basket and say, do they deliver what we expect them to deliver?
Hi.
Hi.
No, I don't think African leaders do. I think they just want to amass wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, most of the time they start well, but they don't end up actually delivering what their manifestos
Exactly.
states when they are campaigning.
Yeah, and it's true. They have great manifestos, they have great campaign strategies. They come and convince us that they're the best people, but sooner than later, we don't know where the crack is. You know, it's as if they all fell from the same tree. This tree that we can't even know where it is. We go and cut it and get away with it. So sometimes they just, half the time is that they don't deliver to our expectations, and they disappoint us, and they will look back and say, why did we elect you in office? Because you are really not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And what happens around their leadership is that, like what is it? Oh, I didn't get your name. What happens is that they want to amass wealth for themselves. You know, they are not there to practice the leadership that they need to do in terms of helping people, making sure people can reach the resources that they need to reach. Unfortunately, they go in and amass it for themselves. Very unfortunate in terms of that kind of leadership. So yesterday I was listening to, I had the privilege of setting up a webinar of Who's There for the Strong. And I just want to tie it with this topic. I think it's very timely. It was really good. And we were talking about leadership, and we were talking about who's there for the strong, especially the HR people during this pandemic. So allow me just to recap, because it was really nice. And maybe I don't know whether I'm allowed to share the recordings, but I could ask. And if you're interested, you can reach me out and I see whether I can share with you the recordings. But one of the things over the last 8 months, what has happened is that HR has done everything for the business. Set people up, look at business continuity, be the one who's asked, where are we in terms of medical, whom are we retrenching, whom are we letting go, up to what percentage can we cut salaries, and you're the one communicating all this bad news. Let's call it bad news. And it's been a very difficult time for HR. And some of us also, maybe in this webinar, lost jobs, and we know people, our loved ones who have lost jobs. I mean, every day, even on Saturday and Sunday, me as Catherine, I get a request of, Catherine, I'm looking for a job. Catherine, I'm looking for a strategy to be able to survive. I am going for an interview. Help me prep. And I'm sure all of us in this webinar can attest with our relatives, our friends, the communities that we live in. So I decided to put in a webinar for about 130 HRs on who's there for the strong. And we had this wonderful speaker. And the bad news, let me just tell you, because you are HRs, is that maybe you can tell me that, did your CEO or did your peers ever come to you and say, Catherine, how are you coping? Maybe they said it in passing, but really sitting you down and saying, how are you coping? How are you doing as an individual? You yourself, just to feel a bit cared, a bit looked after around this pandemic time. Very difficult. And who's your sounding board? You had maybe just people in the office. Of course, you could discuss those strategies with the management team and stuff like that. But who really came out for you and said, hey, Catherine, take a chill pill and know that this is not the end of the world? Who's looking after you? So we just wanted to debrief ourselves as HRs and see where we are 8 months later. How have we emerged stronger? What has scarred us really bad, and really bad that we look back and say 2020? So we did some exercises to see where our stress levels are, and very practical stress levels. And we could see around our careers that many of us are really suffering around just not having strong sounding boards, and people thinking that we are strong and we are made like that. So the bad news, let me tell you, or the good news, which you need to take away, is that you're expected to be strong, and there's nobody who is going to be there for you as HR, because you're supposed to show strong, you're supposed to be strong, you're supposed to be the one setting the pace. So you are only there for yourself. But of course, there are all these other mitigating factors that you can put in place for you to make sure that you continue holding your boat steady. All hands on deck. That's how it's going to be. And you're not going to run away from that. But it was really, it was really like day and night for us to hear that all we got. You have nobody else, because you can't be vulnerable. You cannot be vulnerable like you're crying. That's what the presenter was saying. But you can be vulnerable around, I do not know, and let me go out and ask. That is important, and you come back with answers that can support what is being done and can be implemented. That's very important. So it was really nice. And of course, when you decide to be out there, people are always going to criticize you. So when I looked at when I shared a slide around who's there for the strong, I took a leader like Nelson Mandela. My four people that I took, strong in different perspectives and how they were supposed to be seen as great leaders. So I took Nelson Mandela. And why did I take Nelson Mandela? I took Nelson Mandela because of two reasons. Of how unfairly he was very unfairly treated for 27 years. He stayed in prison, and during that time he built himself. When he came out, he became the president of South Africa. All of us know his history, and I love his biography. I hope you have read it, Long Walk to Freedom. There are many lessons as a leader you can take out of it. He forgave people. much loved leader. You know, he was there and he needed to take his people to the next level of forgiveness and just being there in the public eye. And he knew that he had to deliver. On his own, he had people out there who could tell him what's happening, but half the time he had to think for himself. In prison, he got a degree when he was in prison. He did many great things. Okay, then I took a leader, and like Diana, the late Diana. She was Diana who? I even forget now. Princess Diana. And why did I take her as a leader? Because she was in such a, she was a village girl. All of a sudden, she's in the limelight, having gotten married to the monarch, you know, and all of a sudden this beautiful girl has come to the picture, and she has to be followed all over by the paparazzis, and who finally killed her anyway, poor girl. And she has to display a certain way of life that maybe was not hers. She couldn't go to the candy shop and do high five with her friends without people thinking, that's not how we behave. You get what I mean? So she had to display herself in a way that was prescribed when you get into the royal family. So she fell in love. She said, okay, fine, this is how it is. And maybe she went and got the brief and say, oh my gosh, now I've already fallen in love with this dude. And okay, fine, it's in the royal family, but I didn't know what it would mean, you know. And these are big, these celebrities and everything, you know, for them to maintain what they are, even their food is even pimwad, you know, like you can only eat 40 grams of meat compared to us who can eat 200 grams and stuff like that. It's a hard life. But she chose, I mean, yeah, she had to be strong to be seen in the public eye. Then I took our very own Eliud Kipchoge. Very nice, you know, ran the Ineos marathon under 2 hours. We were all celebrating, but he journeyed with us. You know, he decided, I'm going to put myself out there. He told us what it meant for him to prepare for the marathon, how he had to change his lifestyle and practice every day, change his diet, learn how to breathe another way and stuff like that, you know. And he had to put himself out there to say, I am going to win. So different people displaying themselves in different ways, and they had only themselves to prove. So even yourself, so when you display yourself out there and people know that Sally, you're the next one on my list, that's why I'm using your name, is that how do you appear to others? You know, people want you to have all the solutions, and we have to act in a certain way sometimes for us to remain in that position, especially as HRs. So just a recap of really in terms of leadership, how do we show up? You know, people say it's lonely at the top. Do you ever go to your CEO and say, well, boss, I know the two people who got a beating this pandemic is HR and the CEOs. How are you coping? Guy, how are you coping? Especially if you have a good working relationship. How are you coping? Did you reach out? And I reached out to my CEO and say, well, how are you doing? How are you feeling? How is your family? What can we do better? How can I support you? Stuff like that, you know, because it's important to check into others. So leadership also calls that you have a strong sounding board for yourself. And I know you made networks for yourself to be able to have that. So just a recap, very nice. And it was really nice just to know that you're the only one that you got. Okay. So in the concept of any question, any input there? Any input? Any input? I can see chats. Yeah. We have been turned to COVID managers on top of all the work we have. I totally agree, Anne. Yeah, true. Without a strong support system away from work, it's hard to keep it that way. Tuned in, thank you. I like the point that I don't know. And let me ask, yeah, it's true. We have to be extremely vulnerable in terms of who we are as leaders because we don't know everything. Okay, so keep putting it in the chat. I will keep reading it, or unmute yourself. Feel free to chime in terms of where we are. Yeah. Okay, great. So that's, yeah. So the concept of leadership, whether they are made or born, who came before? Is it the egg or the chicken? So good leaders are made and are not born. We can debate this as well. So good leaders are made and not born. If you have the desire and willpower, you can become an effective leader. Good leaders develop through an ever-ending process of self-study, education, training, and experience. I will repeat that. Good leaders develop through an ever-ending process of self-study, education, training, and experience. I love one of the things that when you decide to put yourself out there in the public in the US, let's say President Obama, Trump, whoever it is, or the presidents, or even the senators and the governors, one of the things that they do is give you a mentor and a coach. They teach you how to do public speaking, to be able to convince others. They teach you about policy. It's so intense, you just think, Allah, I better win these things. But we know that also we go into elections to lose. We can either lose or we can either win. So even you as a person, are you taking time, and are your ever-ending process, are you doing your own self-study, your education, training, and experience? I think that is important. And if I ask you, how many books have you read this year? If you love to read books, what are you reading now? Whether even if it's the newspaper, which is fine because it gives you a lot of information. And when you're on your phone, on your social media handles, what do you look out for all the time? It could be things that you enjoy doing. I think that there's nothing wrong with that. But what new skill have you learned? And that's one of the things that my mom challenged me this year and told me, call me with my family name, Modoni. Modoni, if you're not going to learn something new within these 8 months, first I didn't think there was any time. There's no time to learn something new because it has been such a crazy time. But she said, you need to learn something out of this pandemic. That's what she was saying. And what have you learned out of it? What new skill? Is it resilience? Is it adaptability? Is it becoming more empathy? Is it becoming a better listener? So things that you never knew that you would have. To inspire your workers into higher levels of teamwork, there are certain things that you must do and must know. These do not come naturally, but are acquired through communal work and study. Good leaders are continually working and studying to improve their leadership skills. Leaders carry out this process by applying their leadership knowledge and skills. This is called process leadership. You keep becoming better every day at what you do. However, we know that we have traits that can influence our action, and that's what Sally and Harry attested to, that we have inherent traits that can propel us to become even better leaders. I said everybody is a leader, but there are some leaders who are better than others. Even at your workplace, you know that there's a department that does better than another department. And why is that so? Because that manager has taken time to enhance their leadership skill through maybe the programs that you have in your organization, or maybe even they are self-motivated and take the initiative to study on their own. But also at the same time, they know that they have inherent strong characteristics and they take advantage and use them to completion. They don't let it waver, and they make sure that they are continuously making sure that they influence people. So those traits are the ones that are really the ones that we are born with. There's some people who are very strong. There's some people who are just naturally brave. There's some people who are good public speakers. There's some people who are who know that they will always find a solution. The ability to be agile and flexible and think through is something that comes naturally to them. So what are some of the natural things that you have as an individual that you should be using but you're not using? That's always a challenge that I throw out to people and to all, especially being a coach. What are some of the things that you are really not looking into and you would take them and use them for your own advantage, and you would be the blue-eyed girl or the blue-eyed boy in the organization. So it's important. These are called trait leaderships. This is called trait leadership, in that it's once common to believe that leaders were born rather than made. You know, if we just use traits of, oh, Catherine is a strong person, she will look for a solution, you know, whatever. Traits in themselves, our general inherent characteristics, must be improved and taken to the area of self-study, education, training, and experience for you to become a real complete leader in the things that you want to do. Anybody else? For people to follow you, for you to see the bigger vision. Yeah. Concept of leadership around there? Anyone? Anybody who thinks it's on the contrary? Anyone who would want to add anything around process leadership, where we are always increasing our leadership capability, our ability, and then not just looking at our traits and saying, mimi nilifika, mimi staki. Yeah. And along what we also discussed along strong leaders. Anyone, please unmute yourself and just say, okay, fine, it is okay. I agree, Catherine. Anyone?
Hi, Catherine. Yes, I agree with what you're saying, and I think a leader should always have this in mind, in terms of they should never think that they have reached, that it's a cycle. There's growth in there's learning that happens with each and everything that happens around them, and so they keep on growing, and there's no end to that redefining yourself.
Yeah. Keep growing every day. So we learn something new every day, no matter how small, maybe something that you didn't know, or maybe just look at a certain situation differently. How would I solve it and stuff like that? Yeah, I agree. Thank you. And someone else? Someone else? Agree? Anybody else? Even when you look at your place of work, do you believe that there are some better managers than others? And when you look at them now, maybe a bit more critically, when you reflect back, is it because they have they use their trait and they have been able to propel themselves to the next level of taking the extra initiative to hone their leadership style? Anybody? Can mute yourself. Just tell us your experience. Anyone? Anyone? Eric, Josephine, Lucy, Margaret, Maggie, Martha, Sally, Sheila, Teresa, just reading from the list of participants. Then will you please admit the attendees to the panelist list so that they're able to unmute themselves and participate, please? Anyone at your place of work? Let's just share in terms of what you see people doing. Or even you as an individual, just a general. Anyone? Okay.
Good morning.
Yeah, morning.
My name is Diana. What I have noticed with work is that there are, where I work.
Will you just pick up a little bit more?
Okay. Is it better?
Yeah, a little better.
So what I was saying is what I noticed with work is that it used to be that there are some managers who are more, let me just use the word, more approachable. The team seems to be happier with that department, with that manager. And there's some, like I'll give an example. I am not in HR where I work. I'm in administration. However, that is an area where I'm growing into as a career. And what I noticed is that we had a HR, we have a HR, and we had the HR admin. However, the HR admin is sought out more for guidance than the HR herself, because everyone felt that they could not approach the HR. Unfortunately, the HR admin left. Until now, there's a vacuum of where people call me or call others to be like, what can you help me? What can I do with this? Can you advise me on this issue? And you're like, well, why can't you? They're like, you know why I can't. I can't approach her. So it's a sad situation where you see that you are in a position, but leadership skills are lacking.
Is it because of her leadership skill, her management style? Has she always been like that, or she came in and changed?
Unfortunately, we are just learning, because she was based somewhere else. She's been in the company for a while, but was based somewhere else, and we are learning. So it's a bit of, let me just say, it's a mix of everything. But every time you see something, you have a question, refer to the policy, or something like that. So people are like, whoa, this is something more than just that.
Yeah,
so there's
true.
that, I call it, let me use Kiswahili, ni kuwa na utu. I think every leader should have this part of it, should lazima kuwe na utu, if I can use that word. As I understand, and now I understand where, yes, you can be trained to have some things as to grow as a leader and the skill set to hone them. However, I feel like some things are innate. So I'm wondering, do some things like that grow? Do you like now work on with people skills and emotional intelligence, or what happens? Can a leader or a manager learn those things as well? Yeah. So they've just brought a question in the middle of everything.
Yeah, true. Yeah. And unfortunately, and I like what you're saying, and maybe we can all relate with this, is that HR is such a double-edged sword. You know, the person themselves and the function itself. Oh my gosh, nimeitwa na HR. Oh my gosh, you don't even know. Maybe it's never that serious. Unfortunately, it's the function that it's very misunderstood sometimes. So how do we, as an organization, really demystify the role of HR in an organization for it to be seen as the strongest enabler for people to get to the next level? And I keep on saying, if that is not what you're doing every day in your organization, then that's what, leave recruitment. You'll have to do it. Come and Ben, learning and development, all those things, that whatever the functions that we have. But what are we doing for HR to become a strong enabler and you become a strong business partner, so that the function itself stands strong and people can believe in it? It's not just about reprimanding and sending people home and stuff like that. Those things have to be done within the employee relations function. You get what I mean? Then after that, it comes to people as a person. And if you're not passionate about people, if you don't have that utu at your hiring level, you shouldn't hire such people. I mean, people are very different in the world. We can't all be good. I mean, there are some people who are extremely difficult to work with. They're extremely difficult to live with, and that we know. But how do we make sure that we continuously have this conversation around what you do is hurting others, is hurting yourself to get to the next level? I keep on saying the first thing when when a line manager comes and says, Catherine, I want something, I say, is that person going to be successful in what you want them to do? If they are not going to be, then it's not the right time. Are you going to be successful doing that? And how will your team take it? We want to make sure that people are successful. And I'm saying that this is like we are living in utopia if we have this kind of discussion. I know it's not perfect and it's whatever, but how do we make sure that forget your name, what they have said, how do we make sure that people with such poor attitude, let me put it like this, and bad attitude, how do we bring them to the fore? And people change. People can change. You know, you need to continuously check yourself in terms of your self-awareness. What really makes me so impatient? Just because someone has come in 5 minutes late, really, should that worry my day and I scream and whatever at them? They have not met an important deadline. Okay, an important deadline is supposed to be met, no doubt about it. But did I go to them and ask, how are we doing? We are getting closer to the deadline. Is there something that I can do to help you? And maybe you just find out they are so far away from the deadline, and let me help you. Would that create a better environment? But you just wait for the deadline day, Leo 28th, aja later, and all hell breaks loose. You will never be successful as a leader if the people you are leading do not believe in you. Unfortunately, you'll be there leading others and one foot in, one foot out. I wish we're just in a hall, all of us looking at each other and doing high fives. You know, you'll never be successful. People will always be disengaged. But as leaders, at whatever level, we need to understand who we are as individuals. What are those things that can really affect our leadership and for us to be able to be good human beings to others? I think that's very important. You know, my dark side, how do I make sure that my dark side, I don't listen, I procrastinate, I'm not honest, you know, I judge people, I cannot give people an opportunity because I want to hold everything. Those things you have to unlearn them, and unlearning some of those things is painful because you are either going to be told gently by people who love you and you need to change, or the world will teach you, you know. And anyway, it's never that serious. We'll not come out of this life alive. You get what I mean? And I'm sure all of us, including me, have things that we know that people don't like about us. We are not perfect. That's one of the things, you know. But as HR, what I'm trying to say is that how do we demystify and get acceptance of the function and then me as an individual? So maybe even in that organization, people believe in HR. They know that HR is going to sort me out, but the person there, how can I say point to the policy? You know, so how do we bring myself? How would I tell my manager that your leadership style is not conducive? You're not approachable, you know, you're not approachable. People are not coming. Even me, I would worry as an individual, you know, and ask people, mbona watu wakuji? You know, ati, oh, boss yuko aje leo asubuhi? Na naweza muona. Wewe, hapana, leo yuko na mood mbaya sana. What a shame. You know, we need to be seen as individuals who are consistent. The way you see me as Catherine at my workplace is the way I want to see you at a social function, in church, at a religious gathering, whether you go to the temple, whether you go to the mosque, you know, at a party and stuff like that. I want to show myself just the way I am, you know. But half the time, work stifles us to tunakuwa a different Catherine. Nikitoka 5 o'clock, hey, it's a different Catherine. So the kind of consistency is important, but it's the kind of culture and environments that we create for people that makes them not to be consistent. Yeah. So anybody else? So we need to call out bad behavior. Don't be so whatever. Call out bad behavior, but in a way that has wisdom, that has you're not attacking the person, you want the person to become better. Hard. I believe everybody can change. There's no whatever. If the good book, the Bible, if Paul could change from Saul to Paul, I mean, and you know how Paul was bad, a good lawyer in his own standing, if he changed, then who would not change? Someone else? Someone else? Nice discussion there. Someone else who would like to add? Anybody else who would like to add? Maid, how is it going at your workplace? Are people coming to HR? Wanasemanga wakituona tuna nini? So so the next one I would like us to get into is their leadership theories and their leadership styles. What are some of the leadership styles that we know? some of the leadership styles that we know. We love to ask that question. So what kind of a leader are you? Leadership styles of individuals.
Morning, Catherine.
Morning.
I autocratic style. Do as I say.
So autocratic. I'm an autocratic leader. Whom do we know was a strong autocratic leader? Feel free to sip your favorite beverage. Mine is tea. Yeah, one of the styles, you can have a strong predominant leadership style. You are autocratic, very autocratic. Do as I say, this is what we do here. You know, even your voice is autocratic. Hitler was an autocratic leader, isn't it? You agree? Autocratic leadership style. Another leadership style? We know them. Another leadership style. Unmute yourself, yeah.
Hi, Catherine.
Hi, yeah.
Transformational leadership.
Transformational leadership. Tell me about transformational leadership.
This is whereby a leader inspires the team and motivates the team. Is taking part in what is happening and just motivates the team to achieve the objectives.
A transformational leader who takes the team, leads the team, takes them to the next level. Okay, I hear you. And what's your predominantly leadership style? Nowadays, when people come for interviews, they say, oh, I use different leadership styles depending on the situation. I love people. Oh my gosh. I hear all sorts of things and I think, oh, that's smart. I think I can use that on someone else, even me when I'm asked. Another leadership style. If you're doing CHRP, these questions will come. We are revising then. Let's put it that we are revising. There's a democratic leadership style. There's a laissez-faire leadership style, you know. Democratic leadership style, does it work all the time? The pros and cons of it? And what kind of leadership style do we have in this country? What kind of, if you asked, your president uses what kind of a leader is your president? Is he laissez-faire? Is he autocratic? Autocratic can also be dictatorial. Is he laissez-faire? Someone else? Yeah, just unmute yourself. Someone?
Hey, Catherine.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I think our president is laissez-faire because he leaves everyone to do what they want to do. That's my thinking.
That's your thinking.
Yeah.
Someone else? Do you think that President Uhuru is a laissez-faire kind of a president? Leaves everything, do and do the best you can do. After all, I've given you a job. You go and deliver. Someone else? Someone else? Someone else? I would tend to believe for me as well that our president, yeah, okay. Someone was trying to unmute you, say, before I just time in, yeah.
Yeah, I believe our president is bureaucratic because even the issues of COVID-19, you see, like before he makes a decision, he tries to inquire from the people with the relevant experience about it. So it means he follows the line of hierarchy.
Okay. So he's bureaucratic. So he puts barriers, you know. So it's bureaucratic a leadership style. Was that Beth?
Yeah, bureaucratic is a leadership style that enforces, following the levels of hierarchy, the relevant. Before you do something, you must follow the right channels of leadership. Yeah.
Okay. So is that a good leadership style? Does it work? In your opinion, does it work? Does it not work?
In my opinion, it's a good leadership because at least the decision that will be made at the end will be somehow professional. Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay. Okay. Bureaucratic. He's a bureaucratic leader. Where I hear bureaucratic is also red tape. And that's why I asked you, Beth, in terms of, is that really, because if you're putting red tape in everything and things need to move, then when will things ever move? And then when they move, what we see is that the results were not what was expected we were expecting to achieve. You get what I mean? So yes, I agree that within context that we should follow processes, we should follow policy, we should engage. But what are the end results when all this is done? KEMSA was a mess. COVID millionaires was a big mess. It really discouraged the whole country. You know, we engaging, we expected to do the right thing. Everything. Galana is a big mess, a big project of billions of money. It's a big mess. The railway is a big mess. I mean, it's very difficult. It's very intricate. It's very complex, no doubt about it. But predominantly, what do you want to be known for? For me, I think our president is laissez-faire. He expects the experts to do it. The experts sometimes let him down, unfortunately. Then he only comes and stamps his authority without any action being taken. And that really discourages the larger human beings. I mean, the larger population of what it is. And for me, when I just looked at him one day, he asked, so what can I do? I've tried everything. I said, what kind of a leader are you? How can you even go on national television and say, I've tried everything, what can I do? That was the lowest point for me as an individual of Catherine. If I just said, so if you say that, what are we supposed to be doing? The population, the citizens, what are we supposed to be doing? If you've tried everything, it means that you are just a toothless dog over there. I felt very sorry for him, but I just thought, well, what kind of personality do you have? You know, you have a lot of charisma. You're very endearing. He's the one president who's very endearing. He's a very approachable. You know, he's very people oriented. But in terms of delivering as a completer finisher, if I was to give him a scorecard and evaluate him as Hey Charles, I don't think he would really be. He would be below average, unfortunately. Maybe I'm very, very. I'm being very, very. I'm not giving him a lot of brownie points, but I just think in terms of his delivery, his mandate of what he expected, his manifesto, he's not delivered to our expectations. But anyway, I know also the situations around leadership as a politician can be very difficult. Anyway, and then the other day he made me laugh. Nilitoka social media kwa sababu I couldn't stand the the insults and everything. I was, oh, poor boy. You know, again, you just come to affirm yourself, you know, the kind of leader that you are, you know. So different strokes for different folks. Yeah. Someone else before we move on? Someone else? Someone else? Yeah. Democratic leadership gives an opportunity for others to participate in decision making. Bureaucratic leadership is rarely effective. I agree, Kemsa, that's what I have said. Our presidency came across as laissez-faire and bureaucratic. Yeah, transactional leadership is one who rewards his people, helps establish works and roles, and that's what we want to see this morning. Someone else around that area of leadership, from a point of view. So they are predominantly people with leadership styles. And as we keep growing as individuals, we will adapt a style of looking at the situation and saying, this is what it commands me to do at this time. You know, I will be more firm. I will be seen as a dictator or autocratic in this situation because it needs to be done. People might not like it, but in the end, they will look back and say, oh, on the hindsight, it was important for us to get into that kind of situation and be led in that way. Democratic, laissez-faire, you know, those kind of whatever. So in a nutshell, people need to continuously evolve, you know, servant leadership, the greatest person who had great servant leadership, and it actually came from Jesus. Well, I know there could be other people in this webinar who are from different religious backgrounds, but one of the strongest, I mean, a lot of research has been done in servant leadership around, you know, making sure that I understand the people and I'm serving the people. Mother Teresa, a very strong example around servant leadership. You know, transactional leadership. When you know, and that's what we want to dive into. People like Bill Gates, he's a real strong transactional leader. You know, and over time he has had to change just to accommodate, you know, other kind of leadership styles, but predominantly that was his leadership style. You know, transformational theory, like someone said, what are we doing? What are continuously incremental? You know, what's the situation at hand? We are transforming, we are changing, and how are we doing that? Yeah, path goal theory. You know, we have a path, we have a goal. What are we doing around it? Being able to look at the situation, making sure that we have the situation, we have the path, and the path is what we are going to do within that, and then make sure that we reach our goal. That straight theory, you know, this is me. This is what inherit I am. And what are you going to do about that trait theory that has continuously evolved? Because we have seen that it is important for us to add skills as one of the theories. So for us to incrementally grow our leadership. Situational theory, we have a situation. We have a pandemic. What are we doing about it? You know, theory. Contingency, this is it. And we need to whatever. So many theories around leadership. And then after that, now they actually look into the kind of person that we are and how we're going to deal into that. And what kind of leadership style am I going to adapt around the situation that we need to solve? Or how am I going to be seen? So people will say, oh, Catherine is, she's a very dictatorial leader. You know, that's predominantly, that's what we know her for. So when she changes her leadership style, when she says, oh, so what's your opinion? You think, oh, she has something under the rug. You know, isn't that what we think about people? Because we know them for one thing. So that's why we keep on saying that as leaders, we need to evolve, and we need to show those examples. They could be difficult. And by the time people really see that we have changed, it takes a long time, unfortunately. So when you choose to become a leader, you better know who you are and what situations will really make you upset, and you will not accommodate some of the things. And if you know that some of the things that you really are predisposed to as an individual are not liked by others, then how do I quickly make sure that I can start changing so that I become a leader who is effective and efficient in the job that I have been given to do? Like the one that we have had as HR, not approachable. How do I make sure? How can, even when I start changing and people say, oh, okay, yeah, amechange hii wiki, wacha tumgoje next week tuone. Kwa sababu anataka kitu from us, but so it becomes much more difficult to convince people that you have changed compared to if you had naturally just learned about leadership and say, this is me as a person, there's some things that are difficult, I know that I need to change. Okay, great. So allow us to move. Any question, feel free to chime in. Is it relevant? So what is a transaction? Let me start there. Just by the sheer definition of the word, transaction. We are going to get into this transaction, me and you. What's a transaction? Transaction? Very quickly. Definition of an engagement. It's an engagement. Someone
It's
else?
a deal.
Transaction.
A deal.
A deal. Yes, a deal. An engagement, a deal. I benefit, you benefit, isn't it? And in that transaction, everybody must be able to benefit. I'm going to the shop to buy bread. So what happens? It's a transaction. It's a very basic transaction. You benefit and whatever. So does it really have a place if in the business world, that how do we use it as a strong element, as a strong proposition for us to be able to do work and to feel that there's warmth around it? A lot has been, and why Dan and I chose this topic, transactional leadership, is because it's seen as a very lukewarm and a cold way of doing things. But it is the most predominantly used leadership style in the world. Transaction. Nikupatie, unipatie, to deal, twende. And at the workplace, it's the one that we use all the time. You come in, you work, you go. I pay you at the end of the month. So what else? How can we make sure that even when you use this leadership style, that it's totally embraced and accepted, and how can we bring some warmth in it? Because, well, I've gone into a matatu, I've paid you fare, you've reached me where I want to go, and that's it. You played loud music. I don't like loud music. I don't even like the genre of the music that you are playing. When I tell you to tone it down, you cannot hear. You tell me I'm old, I should not be in this matatu. And even when I'm alighting, you tell me, mama, usikuja kwa hii matatu tena. Ukiona kwa stage, usinini kwa sababu umesema the music is loud. You see, every time we're getting into transactions, some we like, some we don't like. Some are very, 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 very clear cut. It's for a short period of time, we leave them. So how do we make sure that even when we look at this transactional leadership style or way of working, it still has its place and importance in that? We would have used a democratic style where everybody is nice and mellow. We accommodate everybody. You come to the table. We make sure that that is done. But this is a style that has stood its test of time, will continue to stand its test of time. So transactional leadership. Transactional leaders exchange things of value with subordinates to achieve their objectives and goals. Transactional leaders are influential because it is in their best interest of subordinates to do what the leader wants. It's as simple as that at the workplace. They exchange things for value with subordinates. Okay, well, we use the word subordinates, it's fine. And they they are influential because the best interest, and it's not the best interest of themselves. Let's also be very clear in terms of course, a leader wants to achieve a certain objective, but when it is used well at the workplace, is we want to achieve the objectives that have been set aside. You know, we want to make sure that we are the best company that produces a training. Let's say ACHRP was our company, all of us worked here. What do we want to be known for? If Dan is the leader and we are the subordinates, what do we want? We want to be known that when we go out there for training, business development, and whatever, we are the best, we achieve those goals, you know, so that we are the most sought company after, you know, so that's the objective. So it's not just me being transactional, it's not me as the leader, but the things that we have set out to do are actually being achieved. Okay, great. Question? Okay, so transactional leadership, there's the contingency award, management by exception, the expected outcomes, and performance beyond expectation. We want to look at that in depth just to see exactly what it means. Anybody with a bit of understanding around that? Transactional leadership? You agree that we use it a lot at the workplace? Unmute yourself, please say something. That they exchange things. What are some of the things that we could be exchanging? For example, exchange things of value with subordinates to achieve their objectives and goals. What are some of the things of value that we can, that are exchanged? Things of value? Rather obvious, things of value. Things of value? Hey, what are some of the things of value that subordinates expect? That we all expect when we are in employment?
Monetary rewards.
Yeah, monetary rewards, for example. Florence? There's many as, for example, things of value. And I give my time. A salary is a monetary reward. Something else? Things of value, what are they?
A bonus payment.
A bonus at the end of the year, or maybe quarterly bonus if I'm in sales, or whenever the bonus is paid. And something else? Things of value with subordinates. What do you value?
Recognition.
Recognition, very true. Recognition at the town hall meeting, or even in the corridors, or in the intranet of your company. Best employer of the month, something else of value to people.
Medical cover.
A medical cover, very important. And there was a lot of hue and cry, again, who looks after HR. We were supposed to come up with medical covers, and at no cost of covering COVID. I like that, Margaret. Medical cover.
Promotion.
Promotion, yeah. Things of value. I value a good promotion. Very true.
Recreational facilities.
Recreational facilities, you must Google interactive working spaces and design concepts. When we still start these discussions, I like to also point out things that I think are interactive working places, nice places, nice offices, nice ambience, see zile as a 1900 when our grandmothers and parents used to work, just boxes of boring, ugly looking box files and filing cabinets. Very true. Something else? Things that we value. What do you value?
Organizing team building activities.
Ability to bond together.
Hi, Catherine.
Hi.
Organizing team building activities to reward performance.
Exactly. Yeah. And for us to be able to come together, human beings are social beings. So we just don't go to work to just work and whatever. That's something that we value. Let's go out, especially now in the former months before COVID came this year, whatever, there was lots of team building, people going out, people having a nice team building sessions to get to know each other, something like that. I have, we should do, then you should organize a full topic on team building. I think it's very, very, very interesting. And someone else, things of value with subordinates. What do organizations, whatever, training, job security. Something else? Yeah, so things of value, really, if I put in my effort needs to be rewarded. And different individuals have different expectations in terms of reward. Some people will say, well, a nice email, a nice recognition in the town hall meeting, I'll be very happy. That puts me over the moon and stuff like that. Some people will say, if you give me a nice lunch voucher to my favorite restaurant, I really feel that is good, a salary increment. But money remains a strong defining denominator in all this. I've worked, we've agreed that you'll be paying me 10,000 shillings at the end of every month. I expect the 10,000 shillings to come consistently and on time. I don't want wishy-washy, So that's one of the things of value, so things like that, good policies around me, how you really how you really manage me at the workplace. So that's very important. So yeah, so what are, for you as an individual, I would like you to reflect back and think, what are things of value for me in this organization that I work for? Very transactional. I'm expected to meet the objectives of the business, of the role as HR or whatever role you have in your organization. What are the objectives? Have I met them? And what am I being rewarded for? Do I value those things? Are there some things that I think that I should be rewarded and I value and are not there? How can I go back and say, well, I feel that this is important for me. If you keep adding it, I will be better placed to get there. And do transactional leaders listen to that kind of a discussion of thinking that I need something more? We can increase it. So transactional leaders are influential because it is in their best interest of subordinates to do what the leader wants. And how do they become influential? And this is one of the things where people feel that transactional leaders can tend to be bullies. You're pushing me all the time. I know I'm supposed to be delivering. So even in that space of becoming, that's how we work in this organization. We need to, as leaders, know that if I am a transactional leader and I want to see results because they are so result driven, I need not to be a slave driver. Because there's been a lot of discussion around transactional leadership where leaders felt to a certain extent that they can be bullies. So how do we make sure that we can still have people delivering and the value that we place in the thing we exchange for, that without them feeling that, well, I've earned it. Hey, here I have to earn things here, akuna nini, there's no place for negotiation. So that is one of the things that over time that transactional leadership has been whatever. So what are some of the qualities of transactional leadership? And we've already mentioned some of them. And I would like you to reflect back at your businesses or even you as an individual. That's what I keep on saying about these webinars. They're nice because we can be able to think, my place of work, my business, my society, me as an individual, how am I doing? So There's no order. The behaviors most associated with this type of leadership is establishing the criteria for rewarding followers, and maintaining the status quo. We get into a transaction, whether it is a short-term contract, whether it's a termed contract, whether it's whatever, we've already gotten here and say, Catherine, we've employed you as a training manager. That is the objective. You will be training 5 days a week. These are the people you'll be training. These are the kind of trainings, and they know that I can deliver. And after that, we'll be expecting you to be here at 8 and leaving at 5. And then this is the reward that we will be giving you. Are you okay with that? Okay, fine. Okay, sign against the dotted line. And we say that is it. You know, transactional leadership is primarily passive. What does that mean? Passive? Passive? Passive.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi, Amos.
Hi, Catherine. How are you?
Good.
Okay, I was just, the discussion is very live and very educative. But I was requesting what time are we breaking so that we can recharge?
Oh, that's a good question. So before we ask whether we are breaking, which ordinarily we would not, because we are finishing at 11. The 2.5, 3 hours we normally don't take a break. Sorry, Amos. We just go on. But if you want to take like 2 minutes breather, go to your kitchen, bring your water and stuff like that, whatever. So because if I break, then we've seen that we lose people. So it's just nice for us to just go. It won't take us too long. It won't take us too long. Is that okay? Yeah.
That's okay. Thank you.
That's okay. Yeah. So you can make sure that your volume is on so that you don't miss anything important that we are discussing. But that's how these webinars now are, whatever. If we are face to face, definitely we'll take like a 10-minute breather or 15 minutes breather. But now we are different places. Okay.
Thank you, Catherine.
Yeah. So Amos, before you go, what is transactional leadership is primarily passive. What do you mean by passive?
Okay, it's just like nipe nikupe. You agree, you deliver, and then you get a reward out of it. Which basically it's based on the expectance theory, whereby you deliver and you get a reward out of it. You don't deliver, the rewards are withheld.
The rewards are withheld. Yeah, very true. So the leadership primarily very passive. You hear people who a headhunter calls you and say, Catherine, are you looking? I have this great opportunity. You say, well, I'm not actively looking, but I'm passively looking. You know, you're not out there saying, I'm looking for a job. You're not telling all your networks. You're not applying for every position that is out there, but you're passively looking. If this position comes through, I've always wanted to work with this company. For example, you're telling yourself, and you get the opportunity. You say, yeah, send me the JD. I would like to have a look at it. And yeah, I think that's a good opportunity. So you're not out there. You are just, you know yourself what you're actually looking for. So that's the same. The transactional leadership, they know exactly what they are looking for. It's not active because they've already mapped it out very clearly. Catherine, you will be running trainings 5 days a week. This is what you will be doing. So very passive in their approach. You know, they are not there yapping and whatever. They know exactly. It's already there. They are willing to work with the existing system in the organization and negotiate to attain their objectives. Already the system is in place, negotiate to attain the objectives. So objectives is always the key driver, it's the primary driver. They are satisfied with whatever goal is assigned to them, and they accept the culture and the existing organization. You know, this is it. And that's why I said, is this a style that we really will be successful. And because they come, they are very clear in what they want to achieve. The goal, this is the goal. It's been assigned. We are going to reach it. Do we have the teams to do it? Yes. They accept the culture in the organization, and culture plays, of course, a big role. Then they say, well, the culture here is eroded. It's toxic. It's not good, but I am going to achieve my my result. And that also now plays a big role around, hey, this one is such a bully. Really, the culture is so bad. Already they want us to achieve. That is when we start having mamas in the corridor. But what we always expected is that we'll have a good culture, isn't it? We'll have an enabling culture that supports everybody and a culture that is people-centric. And that's why I said, as HR, if we are not working towards a culture to make sure that people are successful and we are people-centric, anything else is not going to work. And finally, transactional leadership uses reward for good or positive outcomes, and at the same time, they also punish poor work and negative outcomes, just like what Amos has said, that we reward and we punish. We are not even, they are the kind of, you've not finished the deadline. It is today. That's it. I'm going to give you a memo. It can't be. I gave you this and this is how they talk. I gave you this deadline. I mean, you knew the deadline was coming. You had 2 weeks to do the job. You never told me that you're not going to deliver. Here is a memo. You don't even take time to find out, oh, the poor person, the poor dude had so much going on for them. Maybe they lost their loved one. Maybe they are going through some distress of some kind. They were not able to concentrate. And the first thing you have, put salt into the wound. And here is the memo, or suspension, or go to HR and get your consequences from there. And then they remember they are going to this HR who is unapproachable. They die. In fact, there's some, you'd rather not come to work then. You'd rather just resign and just say, I'm not coming back. So qualities of a transactional leadership. Anybody who would like to put in an example, another example? Another example? Transactional leadership. Start running out of time, so let's move a bit faster. Anyone? An example that you have seen at your workplace, you have experienced, something that you would like. Is there a lot of transactional leadership at your place of work when you think about it now? Then move the attendees to the panelist list. There are some people there. Thank you. Anyone? Okay. Anyone? Okay. So the importance of transactional leadership. Transactional leader recognizes what actions subordinates must take to achieve the outcomes. They clarify these roles and tasks requirements so that the followers are confident in exerting the necessary efforts. You know, they also know that the people who have been given those roles, that's the beauty, is that you are able to do that. So we said ACHRP is our company. So all of us, some are in marketing, finance, HR, you name it. And our main goal is to sell training and to offer training. So all of us who have been employed in this company, the leader has confidence that we are able to achieve whatever has been put on us. So it's not like I'm employing you to do training and you have no idea of how training is done. You've earned your stripes. You have the experience, you have the skills, you have the competencies for you to be able to do that. Complementing this approach, transactional leaders also recognize what subordinates need and want and clarify for them how those needs will be satisfied when they expand the necessary effort to accomplish the leader's objectives. You know, complementing this approach of saying that you have the skill, the knowledge, and the resources to be able to do it, they make sure that they clarify what needs to be done and expand the necessary effort to accomplish the leader's objectives. That is important, you know. being able to accommodate that and saying at the end of the month, I'll pay you a salary. I've also, in this engagement, we've said there'll be a medical scheme. In this engagement, they've said that apart from the normal 21 leave days, I have also added you a brownie one and said, in this company, we give 22 leave days. So for us to be able to know that as much as transactional leadership is carrot and stick, there's also the primary role of knowing that I have employed people who are capable of doing this job. So when they're not able to do it, wanacheza, wako na mchezo mbaya. Na hiyo mchezo mbaya, it means they need to be punished. So they don't think about any other ways of engaging people. It's either I am rewarding you. If you do it, I am rewarding you. If you don't do it, I am punishing you. Okay, great. Transactional leadership concept. Transactional leadership occurs when one person takes the initiative in making contact with others for the exchange of valued things. And we agreed about what we discussed, some of the valued things. The exchange could be economical or political or psychological in nature, where each party to the bargain is conscious of the power, resources, and attitude of the other. It could be anything, the exchange, economic, political, psychological, it could be anything, making sure that both of us are benefiting. Their purposes are related, at least to the extent that the purpose stands within the bargaining process and can be advanced by maintaining that process. But beyond this, the relationship does not go. This relationship does not go. So what we mean by that is that we understand that you are here to work. It's an open-ended contract, and we maintain it. We maintain it by saying at the end of the month, I am paying you, I am giving you the resources that you need to do that, and we keep going beyond that. The relationship does not go. In other words, exchange of goods is usually specific, tangible, and calculatable. The relationship lasts only as long as the need for both leader and followers are satisfied by the continuing exchange. Thus, this is not a relationship that binds the leader and the follower together in mutual and continuing pursuit of a higher purpose. That's it. We have a transaction. This is it. I am not going to be lovey-dovey to you. How was your weekend? Can we hang out? Stuff like that. And that's why it's very transactional, just like what it says. We are here to do something. We achieve it. And that's why many people are sometimes think that, well, I'm here to work. I'm not here to make friends. Can we be friends at our place of work? Are we allowed to be friends? Are we allowed to be friends? Can we be friends? Is it important for people to be friends at the workplace? Can we be friends? Are we allowed to be friends? Do you have friends at your workplace? Have you formed, or you just have acquaintances? Friends forever? We are colleagues. We are colleagues. We are colleagues. So when someone has a problem, we will not go to their workplace, to their place and say, Paule, and help you in terms of need. What do you think? Anybody unmute and tell us about this friendship thing? Under the transactional leadership, there's no friendship, unfortunately. And that's why it's lonely at the top. Leaders just don't have friends, unfortunately. HR will not have friends. You have to make friends outside Duko. Sometimes it's not saying that we are social human beings, but under the real transactional leadership concept, it's very there is no relationships. we don't build strong relationships. We don't build strong bonds. You know, I've asked you to do this job and that's it. Yeah. And be very cosmetic. You know, this is just what up to here. This is the approach. I have given you what you need. I have paid my bus fare. Take me to Kakamega. That's it. There's nothing else. The bus will stop at Nakuru. We'll all go for a snack. We come back. That's it. You know, very transactional. So it can be very, it's very good, especially for short-term engagements. Extremely, extremely important. So that is why then leaders now just, well, adapt that kind of leadership style. Okay, great. Anybody please time in and time in. Okay. So what are some of the factors when you think about transactional leadership? Some of the factors. We said contingency, reward. There's the laissez-faire. We look at them a bit more in depth. Management by exception, active. Management by exception, passive. So active and passive. Anybody who'd think about this? Some of the factors, just like what they are. Anybody? Anyone?
I would want to contribute.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, for active leaders, they work with the team. They work with them. But for passive leaders, they only intervene when there's a problem.
Yeah, yes. Active leaders only intervene when there's a problem. Yeah, true. Very true. Anybody else? So the factors around. Okay, so let's look at each, and you'll be so. It's very interesting around the factors. What happens? Okay. So under the contingency reward, we say that there are specific rewards. So we won't even belabor that. We'll start sounding like a broken record. With this kind of leadership, the leader tries to obtain agreement from followers on what must be done and what the payoffs will be for what the effort people will be putting in. An example of transactional is a parent who negotiates with a child how much television they can watch after practicing their piano or even doing their schoolwork, you know. So there's a reward. You do this work, I'm going to pay you, you know, at the workplace. I'm going to take you to town, you're going to pay bus fare. You know, that will be the reward will be I am going to drive you safely to where you are, and then you're going to pay me, say, whatever. Yeah. So you can take any example. You know, you're going to finish this project. This is a new project that we have at our place of work. It's going to take you 3 months or maybe 20 hours for you to finish. And when you finish it, we are going to give you 2 days off. You say, yes, okay. Or we are going to reward you with 20,000 shillings or something like that. So it's already predetermined. The reward is already predetermined. Okay, great. So management by exception, you know, so these are the factors, you know, management by exception, passive and active, and laissez-faire. So when we look at that management by exception, it is the leadership that involves corrective criticism, negative feedback, and negative reinforcement. Management by exception takes 2 forms. There is the passive and there is the active. A leader uses the active form of management by exception, watches closely, like what someone has said, closely for mistakes and rules violations and takes corrective action. You know, quickly. You know, there is no active. I'm looking at you guys on the shop floor. We are making, let's say we had a factory of taking out also our company also produces training materials, you know, all these training materials that will be found on the ACHRP website after we finish this webinar. So we have a factory. So let's say Margaret, who is on the line of my participants, she's the leader. And us guys are there in the factory and she keeps watching. If one paper goes out of line, she calls me at, Catherine, your paper is out of line. Can you make sure that your machine is correctly done there and then, you know? So there's no room for making mistakes. The corrective action is taken there and there, active. An example of active management exception is illustrated in the leadership of a sales supervisor who daily monitors how employees approach customers. You know, have you ever had, and many times is that this, when you call a call center and you have all the menus to choose from, the SSD menu, they say this call might be recorded for quality or for quality and training purposes or something like that. So they've already given you a disclaimer. For you, for the other person, how maybe they play it back and say, Catherine, that was not how you were supposed to speak to that customer. You gave them the wrong information. You didn't do this, you didn't do that. You must correct it. And then in the passive form of management by exception, a leader using the passive form intervenes only after the standard has not been met or the problem has arisen. An example of passive management by exception is illustrated in the leadership of a supervisor who gives an employee a poor performance evaluation without talking with the employee about his or her work performance. You know, I do work. You have been seeing me do work, and then all of a sudden, this is rubbish work. You know, this is the only kind of work you would produce. And you remember where I said transactional leaders can be seen as bullies? You know, instead of correcting, remember there's no real relationship in transactions. Transaction is what it is. It's a transaction. Nikupe, unipe, nikupe. In fact, if anything, if remember anything out of this webinar, nikupe, nikupe. Out of this, I do, and then you come and say, rubbish work. This is not how it should have been done. Instead of correcting me as we go. So very unfortunate where at the end of the year, evaluations are being done. And you remind me in January, ulifanya vile. In March, unakumbuka pia ukafanya hivyo tena. In September, you wonder, oh my gosh, what kind of a human being is this one who will not even correct me as I go by? You see, yeah, okay. Laissez-faire. This factor represents the absence of leadership, like what we said, our president sometimes, all the time for me, I think. As the French phrase implies, laissez-faire is a French name, leader, hands off, let things, they ride and they take the approach and they will go. The leader abdicates responsibility, delays decisions. Don't you just hate working with indecisive leaders? I think they're very difficult to work with. A leader who cannot take a decision. We are waiting for you to make a decision. No, I have not consulted. I will still consult. Time is running out. And then we lose the opportunities. You know, even sometimes I see that in recruitment, whereas the recruiting managers or the hiring experts, we take too long to get back to candidates. And you thought, well, they're not looking somewhere else. And when you call them and say, well, we have made a decision, whatever, they say, no, you took too long. I took up another opportunity. So they don't lose the opportunities around what you're doing of being laissez-faire. An example of a laissez-faire leader is the president of a small manufacturing firm who calls no meetings with plant supervisors, has no long-range plans for the farm, and makes little contact with employees. Do you have such a kind of a leader in your organization? You know, they're just hands off, you know, they don't give direction. And sometimes it can be very frustrating if you get that kind of leadership. Okay. Question? Concerns? Questions? Concerns? Examples? Please unmute yourself. Okay, let's continue going. Okay. So the style. So what kind of style does transactional leadership portend or bring to the table. The transactional leader works through creating clear structures. That's the beauty about this, whatever. So there is no ambiguity around what needs to be achieved. They work through creating structures whereby it is clear what is required of their subordinates and the rewards. We have said that punishment is not always mentioned, but they are also well understood, and the formal system of discipline is always in place. So people already know that if I don't deliver, this will be the punishment. If I don't bring in my sales, there will be no commission. If I don't meet my targets, there will be no bonus. So there, you know, it's a formal, well understood way of doing things. And that's why we keep on saying the transactional leadership style is predominantly what is used to manage organizations to a certain extent. And then after that, when we want to be better, we now start involving things like relationship. How do we become agile? How do we become more people-centric? The early stage of transactional leadership is in negotiating the contract. The very primary thing is to negotiate, whereby the subordinate is given a salary and other benefits. We all know that. And the company gets authority over the subordinate. Unfortunately, sasome pigwa pingu. You know, nipe nikupe, we've already. So you more are now like we own you as a company. Unfortunately, that's how it is, because then we've already agreed. So it's for you to execute the mandate that we have given you. When a transactional leader allocates work to a subordinate, they are considered to be fully responsible for it, whether or not they have the resources or capability to carry it out. To a certain extent, that is not correct, because they are supposed to allocate the resources so that I'm able to carry out work. But sometimes we see that we don't allocate. Don't we see? Doctors don't have PPEs. They're supposed to buy PPEs. The children going to school are supposed all to be given masks by the government. Are they doing that? They're not doing that. You see, government is supposed to be setting up every place with hand washing facilities. They are not doing that. You know, so there is still the place where people are still expected to put in their resources, but the primary person who's given me the job is the one supposed to do it. And then there are consequences. They've already said keep distance, wear a mask, sanitize, all those things. They have said wash your hands, but they're not providing that. And then there are consequences. If you're not wearing a mask, the charge is 20,000 if you are not whatever. So you can see that even it's a bit grinding, and that's why people just say, now you've given me a job, you're not giving me the resources. How am I supposed to be carrying out? So it starts demotivating the people who are supposed to be carrying out the task. Okay. Question? Pause there and ask for questions, input. Someone unmute themselves, even just say hi then. I hear people are still here, that people are not too quiet doing their things in the background. Just say hello then to me, for me to feel better.
Hi, Catherine.
Hello, and say something about what we have said.
I'm just following. It's interesting. This is Monica Kamau. I just love everything. The topic's so nice.
Thank you. Okay. Someone else say hello and say something about transactional leadership. Is that what happens ordinarily at your place of work? Do you think it's something transactional leadership is gets us going, or we need to do something about it? Unmute yourself. Chat group. Yeah, I like that from Anne. We have few friends as HR. Yeah. Okay, great. So let's continue. When things go wrong, when the subordinate is considered out to be personally at fault, they are punished for their failure. The transactional leader often uses management by exception, you know, working on the principle that is something is operating to define performance, then it does not need to It doesn't need any attention. This is what we are focusing on. Anything else that you need to do, no, 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 no. It's management by exception. Transactional leadership, once the contract is in place, takes the telling style. I am the one who is going to tell you. You have nothing else to tell me here. I am the expert. You do as I say, not as you do as I say, not as you think that you should be doing. Very unfortunate way of working. But majority of the time, that is where we are in organization. Is that true, Monica? Do we feel that that is where
that's true? That's true.
That's true. Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah. Someone else? Do we feel that that is what happens in organizations most of the times? That's why we say Dan and I, we must run this seminar, because that is exactly what we see at the workplaces. Someone else? Someone else?
Yes, I agree. That is how it works. And the more we continue talking about this leadership style, I just keep seeing CEOs mostly, they probably get things done, but I'm curious as we move along to just look at the cons of it, because they're just now coming in mind. Yeah, but interesting discussion.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so, okay. So the assumptions, there are also many assumptions around this leadership style. So it assumes people are motivated by reward and punishment. Assumptions. Social systems work best with a clear chain of command. The prime purpose of subordinate is to do what their manager tells them to do. And when people have agreed to do a job, a part of the detail is that they cede all authority to their manager. Great assumptions, and that's what it is. That I tell you what to do. There's nothing else that you're going to do. No relationship. It's a clear cut. I will reward you. Okay. So let's go to, yeah. So really, we want to understand what rewards motivate team members. Let me just read that. It's important. So just this was just a recap of what we have been saying. Sorry, what we have been saying, that they are transactional in nature. There's a reward, there's a job, there will be punishment. So very quickly, understanding this leadership style is very important for a leader. What rewards motivate their team members? They need to rely on team members valuing the rewards that are in place. So also team members must also appreciate the rewards that have been put in place. They must be in agreement. We've already said that, Catherine, you'll be the training manager. We'll be paying you this amount of money. I am okay with that. And I will not go feeling that it has not been a good deal for us to start the transaction. It is important for you to understand what motivates each individual. Me, I could be motivated by money. You could be motivated by just one day off to catch up with your personal things and to catch up with your sleep or something like that. As another person could be motivated by just being given a nice dinner voucher to their favorite restaurant. So it's important to learn what each individual is motivated with. What works for one person may not work for another person, isn't it? Like Amos here saying, oh, can we take a 5 minutes breather? But when we say, well, just because of the way the seminars are being run, the webinars are being run, let us finish, and then we disperse, all of us. Link the rewards, what's most valued by a particular member, with the successful completion of the task. That's very important. That we link each member, what I value most. If what I value most is working in the evenings, even when this task has been done, you know that I work best in the afternoon. If I work and Mary works best in the morning, Tom works best early afternoon, Apple, let's try and make sure that we link people's strengths around that, and we make sure that that works for people so that you can get the results. Because again, as a leader, you just don't want to be punishing people because of not doing what is expected of them. Look at them as individuals as well and see where needs to be done. Okay. Team members need to understand the reward system and how to achieve the rewards. The model presupposes people will work harder for rewards. That is true. It is essential that people, and that's true. The more I sell, the more commission I get, isn't it? The more I work hard, the better the bonus I'm going to get at the end of the year, if at all there are bonuses in this organization. It is essential that people are crystal clear about what they get for their efforts and exactly what they do in order to get those results. Any confusion on this will not get the performance that you want. Okay, rewards and punishment system ensures that both reward and punishment systems are in place and are consistently used. So people need to know that. If a team member feels that their leader is biased either towards or against specific individuals or group, then any motivation this system is meant to inspire will suffer. If we say that this is the agreement, but a leader is biased towards something, even at the workplace, really, we become detached. If a leader is always favoring one person and all the other people are not getting the same treatment, what happens is that people start alienating that other person, poor person. And if that person doesn't have emotional intelligence to try and work themselves out of this process of where the boss seems to favor me too much and I'm not comfortable around it, how do I have that conversation? It's difficult. But some people are just, well, I'm the boss's favorite. I'll get all the brownie points, I'll get the bonus, I'll get all the good things, and knowing that in the end, the relationships tend to suffer. But again, it's transactional. A combination of punishment and positive reinforcement will lessen the likelihood of negative side effects, no doubt about it. Criticism of the person's job performance could easily be followed by an explanation on how the product should be assembled. So it's important as much as possible to provide timely feedback through the work process. People will become quite disenchanted and disobedient if they feel that they put in huge efforts and get the expected reward only to find out too late that they have missed the mark of no reward and no way to them. You know, you remember where there is the passive one, where they wait until the end of the year to tell you that you did not perform in January. Very bad, honestly. But we are saying that even as a leader, we need to give timely feedback for people to have corrective measure. We also know that in this kind of leadership is that there will be punishment. So punish me now, we get over and done with it, and we move on. You know, I remember, that reminds me, when in my younger days, I used to work in the aviation industry. So we used to have this boss who was so transactional. Now that brings me to the fore. She used to give us memos every day. You could be assured of not doing, she was Miss Perfect. And we all say we graduated from her kindergarten. When we look back, we say, okay, fine, she built us, but her way of leadership was really transactional and she had no friends. She could, you can imagine, just think of such a leader. So this colleague of mine used to say, oh, there's a memo on my desk. When we come for our shift, there's a memo on our desk. What did we do yesterday? Oh, the plane went late. Okay, fine. 2 minutes late. It didn't push back. It's okay. We used to have memos. After there's no day that the group, someone in the team did not get. So this friend, this colleague of ours was so good. Oh, memo, see, crumples the memo, puts it in the bin. Si tumepewa memo, it is fine. I've read it. And in fact, he stopped reading them because we could tell him, oh, the memo is like this. Okay, you've told me, put it. It became the norm. Very unfortunate way. And people just don't think, well, this it's anything that we should take it. So some people just become so immune to the punishment, they really don't care. Isn't it? We see that at the workplace, they really don't care. And the boss, of course, becomes frustrated. Sometimes you lose your job, but half the job is that if that continues to happen, someone will start looking for another job. Unfortunately, so you have such high labor turnover because of you're always punishing people. You're not give even the kind of feedback that you're giving them. It's not to build them. You did not finish the deadline. These are the consequences, and not discussing as to why that was not done. So feedback needs to be given. If we are incrementally going to come from transactional to being more people-centric, we need to think about people and their feelings. Okay. So performance rewards in terms of timing ensure that the rewards and recognition are provided shortly after the performance. If we decided that after every quarter you meet your targets, we will pay you your commission, please pay them immediately. You finish this work, we say that it's an extra project that you're going to do, we are going to give you 20,000, please pay me immediately after I finish the transaction. Timing is everything. I have given you matatu fare. I mean, I am ferrying you to town. You pay me my bus fare, immediately we reach. Timing is everything. Is the reward comes too late after the task is completed, next time you will struggle getting people to do it. Likewise, rewarding too early may result in rewarding the wrong behavior because people are a bit shifty and sometimes people do not do it. Okay. So any question around that? So the very last of the slides as we end the seminar are some of the advantages and disadvantages of transactional leadership. Sally, here we go. I'm sure you're smiling.
Yes.
So the transactional leader motivates with rewards and punishment. Nipe nikupe. That's how, in fact, we've rewarded this seminar now. Followers that are motivated by a clearly defined system of rewards and punishment will work under transactional leader. If you know me as a person, I have to be supervised, close supervision. You have no problem working with a transactional leader. Someone who shouts for you at the end of the line, you're fine. Yeah. For example, if a worker accomplishes a set goal, he will be rewarded a bonus. So these are people who really love. Yeah. Alternatively, if he fails to achieve this goal or objective by a certain date, then the negative ramification is going to occur. There will be punishment. Degree of certainty to this relationship. The transactional leader must clarify beyond any shadow of doubt what is expected with clear goals and objectives. I love such leaders, honestly, who come and tell me by the end of the year, this is the objective that should have been achieved. This is the criteria that we are going to evaluate. This is how it's going to be done. Clear as day and night. It's not wishy-washy. We are not changing goalposts, of what it is. They are clear. They give you the mandate. You need to recruit for this position within 60 days. That's it. Can we go through how the 60 days should be looking at? This is the Gantt chart. And on day 1 week, advertise. Week 2, shortlist. Week 3, call panel, whatever it is, within 60 days. And it is very clear. If you are going to day 49, day 45, and you are still at the shortlisting stage, you're in the red. And there is going to be consequences. So it's the advantages of working is that they really provide clarity, and because they know exactly what needs to be done and the goal that needs to be achieved. Remember, they also believe that you have the experience, the knowledge, and the competencies for you to be able to do it. Yeah, okay. Then followers must be clear about what needs to be accomplished. So I've told you what needs to be done, and you understand what needs to be done. Another potential positive consequence of transactional leadership is a clear line of authority from the leader and the follower. I love it. I'm the leader. There is nothing else that we are doing here. I'm the leader. There is no touchy kind of feeling. This is it. It's the brief. We are not coming into the human element of, oh, hello, darling. Good morning. How was the football match? Your team lost. There's a new restaurant that has been opened in town. Have you tried it? What are you doing for Christmas? Oh my goodness, Christmas will just be indoors because there is nothing like that. It is me. This is a transaction. We have no relationship. It is nipe nikupe, and that's it. So we know this is how it ends. There's no expectations of us feeling knowing me much more. You're not judging me by whom you see. You are judging me by the work that I have given you. So there's no doubt that you are seeing me as a human being, which you should be doing, of course, but there's no expectation that will go more beyond of what the detail is on the table, which is work. Okay, a transactional leader is responsible for making sure that the followers are working on goals and objectives in alignment with the overall objective goals, and that's what CEOs struggle with. Two things when his CEOs are asked, and I just look at them and wonder, are you for real? There's no talent in this organization. I say, okay, what is talent to you? And then the other one is we are not being able to achieve our goals. The strategy is not moving in the right direction. So this transactional leader, the advantage is that we are working totally towards the goals and the objectives of realizing the organizational objectives. If we were all geared towards that, I think we would be better placed. But when our egos come into play, when we don't want to cede our egos, when everybody feels more important than the other person, that is when personalities start glaring the ugly picture in the organization. But if it was purely transactional, here I am, I have my goals, I am achieving them, what would happen to the bottom line? All these other things, we call them noise around because we want to be seen to be more important than the other. That is what happens when we start having those relationships and start wanting to be into each other's spaces. Transactional leadership is effective in areas where it is clear what goals and objectives need to be accomplished, and there's little room for creativity and innovation or alternative methods of goal accomplishment. Because we have already defined around this is what we want to do. We have tried and tested it and it works. So anything else that you are telling us, we are not going to listen. It's tried and tested. This is how we position our goods in the market. This is how we position our whatever. It has worked. We are confident around it. Our competitors can do anything else, but we continue doing it. So let me tell you one company that is very persistent and it doesn't care about competition because they have perfected what they do things is Bosch. Bosch, we all know Bosch, invented for life. They don't care whether Samsung produces how this fridge it's beautiful to look at. When you look at Bosch products, they are not as beautiful to the eye as Samsung, LG, stuff like that. They are box. But they know that their quality is so good, it's invented for life. So even when people come, and I'm saying that because I worked for Bosch, and it is a great company to work for. 100,000+ people. It can run the economy of this country 5 times over. And every time we'd say, oh, but these things are so pretty. They say, pretty for who? Pretty from what? And every time, I mean, and it's a premium product, unfortunately, that's also something else. And they know where their market is, that people will always, once you buy Bosch, you'll never come out of the Bosch range. So it's one company that has perfected its whatever. And so even its agility to be the first people in the product to move, they just go slowly, but when they launch in a big way and beat competition. So is that your company which has already believed? So it's a very transactional company. Also the warmth and whatever, of course, people, it's changed over time and stuff like that, but their philosophy of really believing in their products and how they position themselves in the market is very, it's very effective because they believe in their products and what they do. Okay, great. Disadvantages of a transactional leadership personal style or in the organization. All leadership styles have deficiencies and weak spots. We all know that. Whatever leadership style you're going to use, it has lots of room for improvement. The transactional leadership style is flawed because its motivates is at the base level only. Nipe nikupe. Anything else? Hatujuani, hapana, mimi sikujui, and that's it. So it becomes there's no warmth, and that's what I said. The reward and punishment do not motivate at a higher level of human development and thought. 5 o'clock, it's not like I'll pick up the phone and ask her, hey boss, I'm in your neighborhood, are you around? Can we have a cup of coffee? Nothing. I mean, my next door, I can even come to your estate and I know my boss lives, my cousin lives in this estate, there's a party. I can't even tell my boss I am here because, well, we'll meet on Monday. It's very transactional. What a shame. And even you hear your cousin saying, oh, by the way, there's a neighbor in 203, and 203, they mentioned the name and you hear, hiya, that's my boss. Let me hear to this story. Kwake kulikuwa kunachomeka jana. And you just sit there, kulichomeka. Nothing. That's an example of whatever. Ama kwa iko matanga. And you have nothing because it's transactional. You won't even say uko ni kwa boss wangu. You just continue with the party at your cousin's house. The transactional style of leadership only works when the followers perform tasks and processes that are well designed and produce independently strong results, like an example of Bosch. This style is poor if higher level of thinking needs to be utilized. If you are looking for agility, if you are looking for creativeness, if you are looking for innovativeness at your place of work. So most of the time, the transactional leadership style is used for the lower cadre of staff. It will not be used for the higher level cadre of staff. It's always used for the lower cadre of staff. This style is poor. The creativity is limited with the transactional leadership style because goals and objectives cannot simply be defined with the set process. We've already said that in the flower farm. This is how we grow these flowers. You put fertilizer in the morning, you pick them in the afternoon. Someone has to mute their mic. Kristen, please mute your mic. And this is how it's going to be done. So lower cadre of staff, it really works well. The transactional leader style of leadership will limit followers who wish to engage in a professional environment at a higher level. You remember? 1 foot in, 1 foot out. There's no way that you cannot be an endearing manager because you've decided to lose whatever. People are relational beings, and we are social, and we want to feel accepted. Even looking at the Maslow hierarchy of need. Transactional leadership is not effective at motivating at this level. Reward and punishment are too basic of a motivator of this level of employee. Okay, great. So those are the disadvantages and those are the advantages. When you look at a challenge and reflection, I keep on saying, where are you as an individual? Where are you at your place of work as a leader? Do you think that transactional leadership really would work, and under which circumstances, especially during this time of COVID? How would you strongly use transactional leadership to make sure that you are continuously engaging your people, your business plans are working? Do you need to twitch it? And we see that it will always find a place at the workplace, especially with lower cadre of employees. Okay. So most Western cultures emphasize individualism. So reward systems that allow individuals to reward would be most effective there. And there's some cultures where you look into and say, what kind of leadership do we want in this organization? The Western culture, very individualistic, very capitalistic, compared to the African culture where we're more drawn, even if you don't like us, unfortunately, as Africans. And that's why I say, are we friends, or what do we happen? When we hear something has happened to you, tutakuja tu, we'll just set one evening, sisi wote at 5 o'clock, tukimaliza kazi, even 4 o'clock, tujipate huko kwako. So whether you like it or not, as Africans, our culture is of inclusivity, where we support each other. So there will be some culture. So culture also plays a big role in the kind of leadership style that we want. So whether you are that, whatever, even that HR who is so aloof, if something was to happen to her, we would still in a certain way say, okay, fine, tumfanyeni tu hivi ndione sisi ni watu, maybe ata change. Maybe that will be the turning point, and we'll have those kind of conversations, isn't it? And maybe we might not go, but one of us will go and say, Pole, we've put something together for you to ease your burden during this difficult time. And someone will start thinking, oh my gosh, really? So Africans, and especially if you are loved, you will find 500 people there coming to help you in terms of needs. So cultures also play a strong role in transactional leadership. So lookout, short-term focus is how do you steer people into the direction that you want them to go. Team members, you don't have to reduce them to be so transactional, but we want to make sure that people really are watching out and making sure that whatever. So in summary, the very last of the slide before I open the podium to Q&A and comments. Transactional leadership style can be performed by most employees or managers without extensive training or required personal traits such as charisma, vision, and inspiration, because we have seen the factors, the advantages, and what it also means. The transactional approach levels leaves little room for misinterpretation or ambiguity. Subordinates and managers enter a contract where the managers provide positive rewards such as a bonus, time off, all those things that we have said. Managers may also use negative rewards such, do it yourself, I'm the boss here, I tell you, you follow, command. It's like in a military camp. Transactional approach works well when short-term results are needed first. Okay, so thank you for tuning in. I will open the session now to questions and answers. Was it useful? Of your time? Are there questions? Are there comments? What did you learn? I'll open the question to question and answers now. Questions and answers, guys. Was it useful? Did you enjoy it? Questions, answers? Someone? At least say something then.
Thank you, Catherine. I think that was a really insightful session that you have put across. I have to say at the beginning, I had a certain mindset about transactional leadership, which was more of the negative. But I'm glad, like by the end of it, I'm able to see both sides, and that it can actually work. It can be effective. There's certain balances we can put in there, just to make sure that we have the human aspect in it. So yeah, I'm glad I've shifted my mind, at least in terms of understanding more about what it's about. Thank you so much.
Oh, fantastic. Happy to hear that. Yeah. How we can balance it and shift our mind that it's not just nipe ni kupe, but there are some strong elements on how we can work and how we can take advantage of it at the workplace. Yeah. Thank you, Sally. Someone else? Takeaways? Yeah. Thank you. Very informative and interesting. Very, very useful. Although kept being booted out of the meeting. Oh, Pole. Shally. Someone else? Someone else? Was it useful? Someone else? Good, yeah. From a number, how do we handle those kind of managers? I guess the managers who are not people-centric. Thanks for the presentation. Just let me read that one before we go to the answer that question. Seems one can combine this style with others. Totally agree, like transformational or servant leadership. Yeah, and that's why we say that we keep evolving. It's a process. You know, what is the situation at hand? What's most important for you as an organization at that time? How do you want to achieve your objectives? What are the pain points? So it's important that we can't just use one style of leadership, but we needed to understand transactional leadership, when it can be used, what are the advantages, because it's a very, it sounds negative, you know, nipe nikupe and that's it, you know, but it does have a place in the workplace. Yeah. So how do we manage managers? Maybe I assume that you wanted to ask, how do we manage managers who are not people-centric, people who are not managers, who are not endearing, who are very transactional? How do we bring them to the fore of knowing that we need to work together? Because transactional leadership, it's all about the objective, the job that we have at hand. You know, we are not relating that. But now when we want to make sure that we open it and we start looking at you as an individual, one of the things is that we need to give feedback to people. We need to give feedback in a way that they feel that, oh, this is how people look at me. This is how people view me. The Johari window is a very important trait. I mean, the Johari window is a real good element for us to be able to see ourselves as individuals. So I believe giving feedback, training, you know, setting an example, and making sure that we're able to evaluate ourselves. 360-degree feedback. All of us cannot be wrong when we come and say, Catherine, you're a very impatient person. And this is what it makes other people feel working with you. So giving tangible examples, but not just criticizing the person, but saying, we want you to improve. We want you, this is what the business says, this is how the culture is supposed to be. You are not following our values, and that's becoming difficult. And as we do that, then we also, as HR, need to let people know that there are consequences for some of the things that you are doing that are not within our culture and our values. But first and foremost is to have that difficult conversation. You know, yeah, before everybody flies off your nest and your team and you wonder, yeah, okay. Someone else? They can also add, how do we deal with difficult managers? Someone else? Anyone else? Okay, great.
Catherine.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
This is Daniel.
Can hear you. Yes. Hi, Daniel.
My take home is that we can have the different styles of leadership, and they are all applicable at a point. For instance, if you look at your sales team, there is to participative when they are executing their duties. But you bring in the participative leadership when you are crafting the strategies, when you are crafting the targets, and even when you are reviewing the targets. But when now you leave them free to go to the field and the transact or bring in business, you use transactional leadership. So what I am taking home is one can easily be able to participate. You can use transactional leadership and as well transformational leadership in all areas. So it's good to learn all of them such that at each and every point use this, at the other point I need to use the other, such that you'll be a successful leader in many ways. That's my take, Catherine, and I'm happy about your presentation.
Thank you. Yeah, I totally agree. And we all agree that we need, as leaders, we are leaders in our own right, that we need to use different leadership styles for us to see success in the work that needs to be done and in the work and what we have been mandated to do. So we can't just use one leadership style. It will call for a lot of emotional intelligence. As a leader, a lot of emotional intelligence is required for us to be able to be successful. And having that incremental, you remember the process, and increasing your leadership style and your leadership potential to get to the next level. So every situation will call for something. Salespeople, how do you manage your salespeople? How do you manage your support services as a leader? So you have to be very deliberate, and your culture, the culture in your organization will play a critical role in predominantly the kind of leadership style that you will be using. And also as an individual, we want to be successful. We want to leave a strong legacy. So yeah, so thank you, Dan, for that. Yeah. Thank you. Good presentation. Good presentation. I learned a lot in the gray areas. Can the leadership style be managed to be merged to performance management in terms of deliverables? Someone? There's a question. It's a good question. Can the leadership style be merged to performance management in terms of deliverables? Sally? Pick you because you're next in line in my... How do we merge leadership styles in terms of performance management? Anyone?
I think they would be closely linked. I don't know if you'd be able to measure the style though, but they would be closely linked. You might find, maybe, just an example, maybe a department where the line manager uses this style of leadership might have a lot of results, because of that, their style, be it passive or active. The people in that department might be able to have better results in terms of measurement. But looking at now performance management holistically, because it's not just looking at one aspect, they might now fail in other things. Like if you're going to be looking at values and, do they fit into the culture well and things like that. And if it's not cutting across the whole organization. So for that, I don't know. I wouldn't know how that would be measured, but yeah, I think they are linked, and it would have an effect on measuring performance.
So performance management, as we know it, is how do we manage people from the time they come into the organization to the time they leave. So that journey along their stay in the organization is what we call performance. So performance management, just to clarify around the area of evaluation, looking at someone's performance, annual performance or quarterly or half yearly, whatever, depending on what you have in your organization, is a real standalone, is one of the programs that you have in your organization to find out in a very formal way how someone is doing, because it has rewards around it: promotion, merit increment, things, consequences as well. You get what I mean? So that is one. So there are very clear deliverables of what I should be doing. But in terms of my stay in this organization, from the time I step into the time I'm leaving, you are managing my performance. You're taking me for promotion. I mean, you're taking me for trainings. You're giving me interesting work. You are putting me in a succession planning platform, all those things. That's how you manage me. You are giving me a place where I can really call home to grow my career. So the kind of leadership that is in this organization overall will influence me in how I perform. And that is seen in how I perform and how I am evaluated at the end of a certain period, depending on how you evaluate performance at your workplace. So that is how I would say that the overall picture is not just geared towards the formal appraisal, but around the kind of leadership that we have in this organization. And when we say transformational leadership, when we talk about situational leadership, when we talk about democratic leadership, transactional leadership, all these will have a place in the organization. One day the CEO will just say, the hat I'm wearing today, I have to make a decision, an executive decision, and I will have no room for negotiation because I believe it's going to work. We are taking too long to make this decision. I have made this, run with it. You get what I mean? So we'll build the blocks as we go. So I believe that how we manage performance and the kind of leadership that we have in the organization really will bring out the best in people and how they are able to perform. So at the end of the year or whatever period that we are going to evaluate them, we have clarity and there is no wishy-washy because we are giving them feedback as they work. We are having relationships that people feel that they feel totally engaged and they're here to perform. Okay. Someone else? Comment? Was it useful? Did you enjoy it? Okay, great. Okay, so thank you very much for your time. There will be the notes in the ACHRP portal. I really enjoyed having this discussion with you. I believe that we have taken away great learnings, we have engaged, and we hope to see you in the next ones. So for me, it's really to wish you a very good weekend and to say that I hope to see you in the subsequent webinars as we engage, and God bless you. Over back to you, Dan. Dan, are you there? Thank you, everyone, for the kind remarks. Yeah. Dan, are you there? Before we say bye, okay. Okay, so I can see Dan has posted some information that there'll be other trainings coming up. Watch them out in the website, and this one is going to earn you 1 CPD point. There were some payments attached to it, and then you can also subscribe to the channel for you to be able to listen to the recordings. So without further ado, have a very great weekend. The rest of it's a bit gray today, but it's never a dull moment. It's one of the weathers that was also created by God. Okay, so for me, I wish you well and have a very great weekend. Yeah, okay, great. Yeah. Catherine, great works. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, take home. As a leader, one may be required to exhibit varying degrees of transformational, participative, and transactional leadership styles. The styles are not mutually exclusive. Some levels of combination of effectively will effectively enhance effectiveness of people leadership. Yeah, very true. Great. Yeah, Catherine, you never disappoint. Nice weekend. Thank you, Monica. Have a great weekend, everybody. Take care. God bless you. I'm leaving.